This is IGN. All that glitters. This is your IGN review of Lost Soul Aside by Charlie Wackholtz. Aside from a confused, misguided mishmash of different and poorly executed ideas that take turns setting up rakes for itself to step on, Lost Soul Aside is an enjoyable character action game. I've had a blast in battles and boss fights, but too often in between them, I had to slog through a repetitive story plagued with unmemorable characters, levels peppered with awkward platforming, and puzzles that would make the shape-matching challenges you'd give a toddler look like rocket science, all disguised in a deceptively flashy package. Originality is fleeting in games, a medium where ideas and innovations blur the line between craft, technology, business, and art. That's especially true in the ever wider tent of high-budget fantasy action games with flashy combos and light RPG elements. And normally that's not an issue. Even a competent take on a character action game inspired by the likes of Bayonetta or Devil May Cry is probably going to provide some fluffy, inoffensive fun. And to its credit, Lost Soul Aside is more than competent as an action game. But in clearly borrowing and worsening ideas from multiple recent Final Fantasy games in particular, it's not attempting an idea of its own that didn't work out. It's doing something badly that begs comparison to games that got the same ideas right, some of them nearly a decade ago. That's what drove me up the wall during my playthrough. I feel like I've been playing the product of boardroom meetings held a week after Final Fantasy 15 or 7 Remake came out, where the discussion was on how to capitalize on their success, rather than a passion project made by a team paying homage to those games. From a we have Noctis at home main character named Kaiser, to the story setup feeling awfully familiar, to the structure and scale of each level resembling a pared down Final Fantasy VII Remake, with all of it peppered with uninteresting extra puzzles and platforming challenges, I found something new to sigh at around every corner, and trust me, that's not because I was swooning over the bad boy protagonist. With a better localization, more lively voice direction, or a stronger commitment to the bit, Lost Soul Aside could perhaps have nailed the same B-movie-like campy charm worn so well by the action games that so clearly inspired its better parts. Instead, it's somehow both half-hearted and over-serious. Kaiser and his dragon-like sidekick Lord Arena eventually share a few moments that bent the edges of my lips into a smirk, but it takes so long for the pair to hit their stride that I was mostly checked out from the story and there only for the action by the time their dynamic clicked. Combat in Lost Soul Aside acts as a palate cleanser for the uninteresting story. Kaiser hacks and slashes through enemies with stylish flair, using the genre-standard light and heavy attack buttons. Mixing the two together with different timing and order will open up new combos, and you can unlock even more using skill points to fill out branches on a skill tree. With a choice between 4 different weapons, a sword, greatsword, pole blade, and scythe, each has its own skill path and playstyle, and switching them on the fly mid-combo opens up an expressive, varied tree of attacks catered to a range of playstyles. The polearm, for example, works well at long range, where the greatsword is best for dealing satisfying heavy blows. The boss fights that cap off parts of each level make for even more stylish encounters. While bigger opponents play with scale, throwing out massive arena-sweeping attacks, others are more nimble duels to the finish against human-sized opponents. Nearly every fight culminates in an exciting finale. Dosed with just the right amount of toothy challenge, each battle provided the right kind of brain-tickling, thrilling showdown as I dodged and weaved between attacks, before wailing on their stagger meter to deal a special sync finisher on my dazed opponent. I did find an odd pain point in some of these fights, though. There's not enough feedback when Kaiser takes damage from some smaller swings, so as I'm wailing away at a bad guy seemingly doing well, I'll glance down at my health bar and it's significantly lower than I thought it would be because I didn't know that I'd taken any damage in the first place. Thankfully, Kaiser and Arena are talky enough that you'll hear about it once your health is really low, and those barks stand out against the otherwise repetitive battle chatter. Lost Soul Aside would have been a great character action game if it hadn't gone out of its way to do anything outside of that. Cosplaying as a Final Fantasy game, its wheel-spinning story doesn't go anywhere, and an unmemorable cast of often derivative characters are played by actors who aren't given much to work with. boring level design is going through the motions at best and annoyingly unskippable at worst, and it's loaded with painfully poor 3D platforming sequences and extremely basic puzzles. Next time, it should really just stick to combat. Lost Soul Aside's IGN score? 5 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Lost Soul Aside updates, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.